Hello, everybody. Live from Sport Beach, Stagwell Sport Beach, Cannes 2024. My name is Gina Gray, and I lead growth for Call McVoy, which is a Stagwell agency based out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. I'm here today with my friend. Say hello, Rob.
Hey, my name's Rob. I'm here representing Epidemic Sound. I'm the global brand director there. We're based in Stockholm.
And the sponsor of Sport Beach,
And
correct?
the sponsor of Sports Beach, that's correct, yeah.
So we have a fun fact. Rob and I met 2 years ago
Yeah.
in the same content, well, different content studio, but here with Stagwell at Cannes 2 years ago, and it was my favorite part of my first time ever at Cannes was meeting you. So
Oh, likewise. The super the same, Gina.
We had so much fun.
Yeah, it was really good. I really enjoyed it. It's like, it just felt like a really nice, natural chat. So
it's my favorite part is running into you
Yeah.
every single year. So
Likewise.
So here we are, and we're gonna have a quick little conversation today. So first thing, Rob, tell us a little bit about your job at Epidemic Sound.
Sure. So I joined Epidemic Sound, I guess, 1.5 years ago now. So I was brought in to transform our brand. Essentially, we are a music company. So if you're making content and you need music, then we will do that better than anyone else in the world.
I've heard.
And but it was interesting because like we pretty much created the category of what we do, but over time more and more competitors showed up, and actually it created this kind of really generic space where ultimately it left people kind of fighting for scraps, and people could just reduce their price by like $5, and then suddenly they're taking our business. So it's really important for us to start to articulate a much clearer signal about what our brand is, what it is that's uniquely special about Epidemic Sound, and so that was the job. And so it was a pretty amazing first year of working with some really smart, talented folks from in Epidemic, and then some nice external people as well to figure that stuff out. And then we launched in February of this year. And so, it's all very new and exciting and fun. It's good.
Well, so I feel like we have to start this off a little bit on a high note, too, and have some fun right before we talk. So you are in the music business, and we are here at Sport Beach, after all. What's your favorite sound of sport? So is it a chant? I'm a baseball fan. Is it the baseball ball hitting off the bat? What's your favorite sound?
Oh, I love this question. Like, it's a tricky one because, I mean, it's just friends have taken me to, like, football games. And I hear you, like the sound of a crowd is pretty incredible. Mm-hmm. But I think I'm gonna have to bring it to cycling. Cycling's my absolute obsession. And the sound of like a beautifully set up bike when you shift gears, there's just something incredibly satisfying about that in both directions when you're like getting into a tougher gear. And like when you're watching the Tour de France and you can hear, somebody about to attack, and the sound of the machine before that happens. Oh my gosh, it's just
so cool.
Yeah, I love
you
it.
have your cycling T-shirt on.
Yeah, I'm too deep. I'm too deep.
That's okay.
Someone needs to pull me out.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
So associated with all you do through Epidemic Sound, how can brands more successfully use music to reach consumers?
I think it's really similar to any other type of like brand thinking, essentially. Like, I mean, it's curious how important music is, and it's interesting. Like, we just recently published a study of creator trends, and YouTubers, like professional YouTubers, have reported like 85% of them are saying that like effective use of music has the most profound effect on their content that exists. Like nothing else matches it. It's if they don't get the music right, their content won't travel. It's as simple as that. And so it's incredible like how effective it is in doing its job. But I think that what we need to be doing more as brands is considering what are the things that represent us, and so if we're looking for recall, for instance, I guess which is what a lot of brands want, then we need to start thinking about consistency. Like, if you think of your favorite TV shows, they all have like a sonic identity of some sort, right? And you can kind of recall it, and it's not necessarily a genre or a tempo, but there's a feeling which is describable. And we have teams who work to figure that stuff out. And so it should be considered as like a brand asset or a brand artifact or a part of your brand strategy alongside your visual identity and everything else.
Yeah.
And then if you can really commit to that, then you will see long-term benefits. And it's but it's a bit like all other kind of brand thinking and brand activation and tactics that it takes a minute. But when it starts to stick, wow, you really see incredible payback.
I think that's really interesting because we talk a lot about that. Of course, working for a creative agency is the use of music and getting it right, right? And I think I know that we've certainly heard great things about you and what Epidemic Sound has to offer for that, because it is such an important part of recall, et cetera. So
yeah, fully. I think it's really I mean, I'm guilty of this myself, and it's weird. You know, I'm actually a musician too, so it's curious
Of course you are.
that I wouldn't get this. But in my previous roles, you know, we'd be developing content, and sometimes we'd leave it till really late to even be thinking about the music, and it's crazy. Like, and every single time we make a new content, we'd be just rewriting the playbook, and we never really had like a particularly consistent point of view.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, if you can harness that, it becomes incredibly effective in, you know, really signaling what it is you're about, and, you know, as we say, recall. Like, so you just instantly, it's like, okay, I'm in this brand universe now.
Yeah, that's actually really interesting, and that leads to my next question. So, along those same lines, what are the top do's and do nots, frankly, or top do's and don'ts when it comes to partner and even music collaborations for brands?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that I mean, firstly, let's go with don't. No, do. I don't know. Let's go with don't. Don't. I think don't. It kind of like shoehorns into or dovetails into the previous answer or the previous discussion. But I would suggest don't just jump on a trend. Like, I mean, sure, there's moments to be a part of a wave, and you want to use that momentum in order to, you know, get your brand messaging out there. I get that. That's a tactic which makes sense. But I think sometimes we're approached by people who essentially just, well, tell us what's the most trending music, you know? And it's like, well, if you really thought that through, does that make sense to you as a brand? It's like, is there maybe like a do, which is, again, what we were talking about a second ago, it's like, think a bit more seriously about it. Like, what's something which is truly going to carry your voice forwards in a meaningful way to touch your target audience in a way which will resonate with them again and again and again. And so, yeah, I would spend less time worried about trends and more time thinking about what counts, you know, and you know, what will resonate.
Yep. So, what is the top misconception you feel brands or agencies, and I come from one, have regarding what's possible through your music library? And to build on that, what recent music collaborations are you really digging?
Okay, yeah. So I think, well, actually, it's funny enough, the most common misconception is that we're a music library. I mean, sure, we have music, which I guess mechanically sits in a library, but we're a lot more than that, right? So our artists, I mean, they're legit artists. They're living, breathing, proper artists, you know, with a capital A. Like, they're legit. And they're pouring their hearts and souls and passion into creating this incredible music, which is, you know, a lot of our artists have, like, you know, millions of monthly listeners on Spotify. They exist outside of our product offering. They're fully rounded, true artists. And so that's a really, really compelling thing to work with. And I think that because a lot of our competitors are essentially just shelling just library music, that's part of the work that we had to do at the beginning of this year in order to, like, start to educate the market about what we can do differently. But in terms of collaborations, I mean, yesterday we collaborated with Stagwell, right? And we brought two of our artists to come and soundtrack sport. That was fun.
So
and,
cool.
You know, Katori Walker, he just did a partnership with NBA, and so that's really exciting. Where, you know, NBA uses Katori Walker's music in their content, and then they bring him to activations, and then so it creates this nice kind of seamless link between what's happening digitally and what's happening in experiential.
Yep.
Yeah.
So are those the examples you're digging on, or are there more? Okay. Just wanted to make sure that you got your favorites out there.
Absolutely, because I think it's about creating that fully rounded experience. And Jansa as well, who performed yesterday, she's also working at NBA 2K. And it's really, really nice to see that work. It's really, really clicking. They know, like NBA 2K, they know exactly what type of music resonates really strongly with their audience. And so when they come to us, you know, we have a conversation about it and think, well, you know, how can we help you with that? You know, beyond just sending you some kind of pseudo like hip hop or whatever. Like, what can we do extra? You know, and so it's a really, really rich collaboration where, you know, eventually we'll be, you know, doing like custom pieces for that for those folks as well. So,
that's cool.
Yeah,
that's cool. So last question: how can brands and agencies create more fruitful relationships with creators and collaborators?
Oh, wow, that's it. It's funny. I was reflecting on this yesterday, and because I was asked a similar question, and I think that, excuse me if I garble this.
You can say whatever you want.
So I think that basically, it's occurring to me lately that we all live in the same ecosystem, right? Brands, creators, agencies, creative talent, you know, like media, sports, media buying, all of these things. We're all living this consistent ecosystem, and it's I think that one of the problems that we have is that we get hooked on certain ways of measuring success, and then they become the de facto that we chase like endlessly. So engagement or reach or whatever. And so if we could kind of recognize the fact that some people will just simply deliver for us a different type of value, which might be something rooted more in reputation, for instance, but might not get you the reach, but it will give you a reputational lift, which is a more meaningful and longer lasting, potentially collaboration. That needs to be considered, and also where we're working together with creators in various different parts of the funnel. And again, it seems dissonant. It's like, wow, but this is, creative partnerships. Surely we shouldn't be thinking in terms of the funnel. It's like, yeah, we really, really should.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's taken a minute for us as an industry to kind of wake up to being a bit more evolved and more mature with the way in which we do this work. And so, yeah, I think that what I'd like to see is more recognition of the fact that we're all here together, and so let's, and we all have, if we can start to use slightly more consistent language and measure things in a way which is more conducive to creating excellent content, then I think we'll get on better.
Yeah. I think exactly what we're doing here and talking about today, though, is these are important steps. It's such an important part of even an agency's production process, right? So, in creative process. So I love it.
Yeah, fully. Yeah, that's the thing, and I think it's interesting because we can be hypersensitive to our own islands, but often when we're working with crafts that we don't fully understand, we might just paint them with a brush of that's what they do. But actually there's a lot more dynamics to it. And so I think that, but it's not hard, it's not complicated.
Yeah.
It just means like looking outside a little bit.
Well, thank you so much. This was so fun. It gave me a couple of different things to think about. So I knew that would happen when we were going to sit down and chat again.
Thanks so much.
So
Gina.
thank you, Rob.
Much appreciated.
Bye, everybody.